Hello and welcome to PolyInnovator. This is the Poly and Content Digest review of BeyondWords, formerly known as SpeechKit. Now, I wanted to do this review because this is a tool I've loved for a long time. Out of all the repurposing tools I have found, this is probably the one I've used the longest, and probably the most too, considering. And the reason being is that I have so many blog posts over the years that have accumulated on multiple different blogs that I have finally condensed into this ghost blog. And then I was able to repurpose them into audio with this tool. So let's go into it.
Dustin Miller, PolyInnovator.
Basically, you write your article and you have to set it up first, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But once you set it up, you write your article, you post it, give it like a little bit of time, and then a little audio player will pop up on that article, given how your theme is designed, and it'll basically take that whole written word, the title, the actual text in the middle, all the little headings, and use AI voices, or eventually even your own voice clone, to talk over the entire article. Now, this is good for people who want to listen while on the go. I've met plenty of people who don't like reading articles. They just like to sit there and listen to it. Perfect helpful for that. Even more probably prudent is the fact that some people are visually impaired, and that this way they can actually listen to the article, and that's super helpful for people like that. And on not only that too, there's ways of redistributing the audio files. You could even make a podcast out of it. I haven't quite gotten that far, but I've definitely considered it for quite some time. So I'm just going to pick a random post real quick to kind of show this. And so this is one of my latest posts, and this one already comes with the podcast, like this kind of post that I make, but the podcast is separate. It's makes a video. But this right here is the audio. So the cool thing is that this happens with every blog post. Now, I chose that audio because that's the voice I thought sounded the best. Now, everyone might be a little bit different on that, and there's tons of voices, and I'll show you in a moment. Let's go into the dashboard. Now, here's what the dashboard looks like. This is what you'll find right off the bat. Actually, the main thing was your different accounts. Now, the different accounts, I only have one. That's my main site. The different accounts are basically just different projects. Different projects are different websites. I have I only have one website, so that's what I'm using here. Now, I'm not sure if you can see so well the detail. I can't tell on OBS, but essentially these are all the different blog posts that I have made. They're all published. They're all ready to go. I have 296 pages. That's insane. But each one has a different various link because they're all different various links blog posts, but it does it pretty well, pretty quickly, regardless even if it's a really long one too. Now, I guess one thing that's kind of a concern of mine that I want to vocalize is that, and I think they might be working on it, if I have a private blog post, the audio player is above the divider where the text is blocked. So if it's for a member, so I guess technically people can listen to my paid posts if they really wanted to, but I didn't say that. Now, the cool thing is you can embed it anywhere. You do a little small player like you see on my site, or you can do a little bit bigger player. Now, considering that I have a dark background, that's why it's white, I'm pretty sure you can change that in some settings here. The other thing is you can actually choose some playlists. I haven't messed around with playlists too much, but I think it'd be really fun to actually dig around that, see what you can do, see what kind of creative things you can do with that. And then you have distribution. This is where something really gets interesting. You have the different embeds, different types of colors, settings, stuff like that, the playlists. But then you also have the podcast feed. I thought that was really cool. Like, I haven't enabled this yet because I'm not fully in love with the voice. And once I do a voice clone down the line, then I'll be able to really use my own voice for this. And I think that'd be even better. So the cool thing is there's a lot of different things you can do with this tool. Now, one thing I want to mention as well is the analytics. And as you can see, it's pretty detailed. I'm kind of surprised that it tracks even like whether that's mobile or tablet. That's kind of cool. That's pretty cool, actually. But the fact that I've gotten 20,000 impressions, it just blows my mind that I didn't even realize I had that much impressions on my site, let alone just from the audio players alone. And the fact that I've had 87 different people listen to these different audios, I mean, at least 27 of those is probably me testing it out or something like that, but that's still pretty dang cool. And over the years, I'm getting more and more time. Like, it's been pretty far back that I started this, and this might have actually reset once I switched sites. But this is something I wanted to talk about, is that I found them through WordPress. Back in the day, they were known as SpeechKit, and I went through an entire process of just looking through every single one of the plugins on the WordPress directory just so I could find what was available. And one of the ones that caught my eye the most, especially since they had such strong branding, was SpeechKit, now known as BeyondWords. So I joined in right away. I was like, this is awesome. Converting my stuff to audio is really, it's like, it's my philosophy, right? And even when I moved from WordPress to Ghost, I ended up that was one of the first things I set up on the site was SpeechKit, or now BeyondWords. And it's funny because I actually had a hard time with it, and not because of BeyondWords. BeyondWords actually has a pretty good actual tutorial to set it up with Ghost, because with WordPress you can just get a plugin. It's pretty simple, but with Ghost it's a little bit more complicated, especially since I had a very, very customized theme, to the point where adding something in like this made it actually really difficult for it to just insert itself. So I had to go in a couple times and edit it, but their support was super helpful. They were actually able to kind of guide me a little bit more, especially since I had a kind of confusing site set up. And the fact that I was able to get it working was just, the feeling was so surreal. And as soon as I started seeing some of my posts finally getting those audio files again, it made me really happy. And it's kind of crazy to think about how over the years, even with WordPress and with Ghost, just how simple it was. Like once I got it set up, it's automatic. And that's something that's not always, like when you use a tool that's automatic, it doesn't always just work. And you have to go back in and check and make sure it's working. And while I had a little difficulty setting it up, because like I said, I had a confusing Ghost setup, and Ghost is already kind of one of those things you have to input yourself anyways, through the integrations and whatnot. They had a pretty cool process for it. I managed to get it to work, and it was so worthwhile. Let's talk about the pricing. Now, the pilot's probably what I would suggest right off the bat. Just explore the tool. They give you basically most of the features already, besides some of the distribution. And honestly, this is all you really need, because you just need to see what different features it has. 10,000 characters. I mean, on average, my blog posts are around 1,000 characters. And so that's at least 10 blog posts right there that you can at least see how it's setting. You can change different voices, see how the voices do, and get a feel for it. And this is the monthly. If you go annually, you get a little bit less off. And eventually they're also going to start offering voice cloning, which I think is really cool. One thing I think is interesting too is the intros and outros. So many tools fail to implement that. And one thing I didn't mention is the audio ads. Now, I don't really mess with this very much just yet, but I do want to at some point. You can insert little ads. So one thing I kind of thought is, like, I have this new season of the POLYCASTS. People are listening to my blog post. They already like listening to my content. I can make an ad for my new season of the podcast. Like, hey, it's a 15-second ad. Go check out the new season, blah, blah, blah. Here's the link. And then the end of the ad, and goes back to the actual content. And that way it's pretty seamless. They put it in at logical points using the AI. And yeah, it's just this tool itself. I'm enamored, basically. And while they're not paying me to make this, I actually inserted it to the blank spot on my review list here, because I thought it was worthwhile for you guys to find out about this. So while yes, it is a bit expensive, but the feature set makes up for it. It's one of the only audio CMSs out there, content management systems, and they're the ones that were first on the market. Yes, there's some competitors out there now, and sure, they might be pretty good, but these were the first guys. These were people who were on the frontiers, the bleeding edge, and they've probably made the strongest tool from what I see. When I compared all the different tools, this one stands out, and they have a very, very strong branding, design, modern design, mind you. Not to mention, everything just works. It's seamless. It's very, you saw how I jumped between different tabs there. I haven't even barely looked at the dashboard until today again, this past week or so. I was able to find exactly what I needed right off the bat. That's something that you cannot say very easily about many sites and many tools. Now, I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. I've already rambled quite a bit on the tool. Obviously, I love it. I hope you love it too. Please check out the written review down below. Peace out.